We on?
It's there it is.
Oh, yes, we are. Ladies and gentlemen,
Mhm.
welcome to another episode of Chat It Up. My guy, the encyclopedia, the man, the myth, the legend, Joseph Guthrie. What's up, boy?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. Hey, we too deep, but all you need is a quarterback and a wide receiver to score.
I mean, the way the league's going, that's what it looks like. Unless
That's all
you
you need.
unless you're wearing green and white and you got JETS on the side of your helmet.
Whew,
Oh,
man, my
sorry, that
boy.
was cold.
You know what's crazy is that
What's that?
this is the worst expectations that the Patriots have had in 25 years. And
Yep.
these are the greatest expectations that the Jets have had in 25 years, and they have the same
hmm
record.
2-6, man. It is
2-6, bro.
it's I would say it's not fun to be a Jets fan right now, but when has it ever been fun to be a Jets fan? Or when recently, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the butt fumble was like the peak aura of
Yeah.
Jets fandom, you know?
That was that was peak of like it can't get any worse.
No,
And it's gotten well, it ain't got
considerably.
better. It ain't got better. That's
Considerably.
for sure.
Yeah, it's like you got all these pieces. It's fine though. Listen, I think Aaron Rodgers, he just might be old. Might be okay.
Dude, I mean, yeah, he's seasoned, but at the same time, like I guess it's just one of those things where it's like you are more than just a quarterback and a good wide receiver away.
Yeah.
Like this is you're trying to shake off years of being just horrible, and that takes more than just signing a like multi MVP Super Bowl winning quarterback and a good wide receiver. Like you're shaking off years of bad culture. So
I mean, some teams just don't win. You know, there's things that's like bad organizations. Like
yeah,
the Detroit Pistons are a bad organization. No, excuse me, they're not even bad because they have a history. The Charlotte
yeah,
Hornets are a bad organization.
yeah,
You know, there's just certain teams that just are not good organizations, and unfortunately, this is one of them. So
yeah.
yeah, I feel for the Jets, and I feel for our there's a lot of listeners that doubted me as they saw. I believe there was a 4-0 sweep on our core four picks from your boy Malcolm Miggy Harris.
Your boy had a good week.
Listen, I'm 8-0 in the last 14 days. Ain't lost.
I'm just saying it's a bad time to fade you right now.
Do not. I'm telling you, I'm hot. I'm hot.
Oh man. I love it. I love it, dude. Well, speaking of you being 4-0, man, there's no hesitation. Let's hop into these games. Hop into the core four games, and I don't think there's any better place to start than what happened at Kyle Field in a blackout to the Fighting Bengals. LSU, man, you talk about a second half for the ages,
Yeah, bro.
full on collapse, like
Yeah, bro.
just full on, just utter collapse by a team, and it looked like watching the defense. It looked like they had just assumed, and it looked like Blake Baker just assumed, well, they're rolling with Connor Wegman, so there's no way Marcel Reed plays in this game because that first half they had him checked, they had him
Yep.
figured out. They were like, "Yep, Connor Wegman wants to do this. We're going to do this, and we know what we're doing." And LSU was very much on their way to sole possession of first place in the SEC. And then Mike Elko did something that I'm pretty sure probably every fan base at one point in time in their life has asked their head coach or asked their program to do, and that's to roll out the backup and see what happens. And he did it. And I'll be God, man. I just I don't know how we got to the point where we needed to bring Marcel Reed back in. For me, personally, after the Florida game, I was sold. I was like, he's the starter. Texas A&M has not looked this good with quarterback the entire time Connor Wigman's been there. Marcel Reed's your guy. What's there left to do? Marcel Reed's your guy. And I understand the whole you can't lose your job to injuries,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't. You gave Connor a chance, and he looked phenomenal in the Missouri game. Come to find out, Missouri's not what we thought they were
They're not
preseason.
good, bro. You can say it. It's okay.
They're not, man. I mean, their last 2 games they've been outscored 75-10. They got shut out by Bama. So Connor Wegman took advantage of what was probably a lower end team, and it made him look really good. And you thought, oh man, Connor figured it out. Okay, Connor figured it out. No, he just played a subpar defense, and Texas A&M or LSU had him. They had him dialed. And it's the Connor Wegman that we have seen when he plays a serviceable defense. He looks average. He just looks average, and um, I think this is the end of the Connor Wegman experiment
Oh, it's
for
done.
Texas A&M.
You have
Like
to roll with Marcel Reed for the rest of the year. There's no doubt about it.
for sure. And did you happen to see when they panned to the booth? Do you know who Texas A&M's offensive coordinator is?
I do not.
Okay, so I bet you do. It's a guy named Colin Klein. Do you remember
Colin
Colin Klein
Klein. Was he a
from
quarterback at
Kansas State?
State?
Kansas State,
Oh,
Colin Klein. Yeah, who
oh,
ran the offense that Marcel Reed is running?
yeah.
He's intimately familiar because that's what they did at Kansas State. So Colin, like, I don't know what it was, man, but it's like when Marcel Reed rolled out there and they showed Colin Klein and he's rattling off plays, I'm like, oh, Connor's in his bag. Or Colin Klein's in his bag. Like he knows. Like not to say that he couldn't have some success as an offensive coordinator with Connor Wegman, because it appears that he could. Obviously, he saw something in the Missouri game. He was like, hey, we can do this. We can attack them here. And it fits Connor's skill set.
Yeah.
But man, you give him Marcel Reed, you give him somebody where he's like, oh yeah, I used to do this in college and it worked for me here and it didn't work for me here. And for what I've seen and for what I can remember of Colin Klein, Marcel Reed's a better athlete. So to be able to dial up plays that you are intimately familiar with in an offense that you went through college running,
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would ever think, okay, we got to go back to Connor. Now, if in the Florida game, if Marcel Reed had just fallen all over himself and just looked completely starstruck, I get it. I would have totally understood. I'd been like, hey, he's just not ready yet. Give him some time. But that man went out there and balled in the swamp, and then did the same thing again against what is probably the best version of an LSU defense we've seen in 2 years.
I mean, it is the best LSU defense we've seen in 2 years. Your boy, what's his name? Will, help me
Whit
out.
Weeks.
Yes. I mean, bruh, he looks a little, and I don't like to say this and put expectations on guys. He looks like TJ a little bit. The way he just flies from sideline to sideline, or my man that was at NC State. I want to say his name was
Oh,
Peyton.
um,
Um,
I know who you're talking about.
yeah,
Played last year,
yes,
graduated, was an
and
absolute headhunter, dude.
headhunter looked kind of like Scooby Wright from back in the day at Arizona, just
Oh, what
everywhere.
a pull.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro, just everywhere. Um, it to me, I'm looking at the schedule. The rest of the lay of the land, they're going to be at South Carolina on Saturday, 7:30. It's a night game.
Yep.
Playing a South Carolina team, that to me is the trap game of all trap games.
Oh yeah.
I am
That
terrified of that game if I'm Texas A&M.
so that game for me is what the Purdue game was for Oregon. Now I'm not, by no means am I trying to say Purdue and South Carolina are on the same level. Clearly, if you've watched those teams, there are some vast differences in terms of players. But to come off a big emotional win, I want to see how you handle that success. I want to see how you handle everybody leaping this praise on you and being like Texas A&M, Texas A&M in the Natty, Texas A&M deep in the playoffs, Texas A&M winning the SEC championship. I'm not saying everybody's quick to jump on that train, but this is by far the most praise that Texas A&M's got since they beat Bama.
It sucks, but man, they shouldn't sniff the SEC championship game, and they
You
will.
don't think so? I
No,
Why
look
not?
at their schedule: Notre Dame, McNeese at Florida,
They did lose to
Bowling
Notre Dame.
Green,
Yeah.
Arkansas,
Yep.
Mizzou, Mississippi State,
Yep.
LSU. That
I
I
mean,
mean, that ain't good, bro.
it's not great. It's not great, but it is also first year head coach in Mike Elko.
Yeah,
And I know we talked about it in the preseason. The pieces were there. The roster was still good. We didn't obviously expect them to be first place in the SEC after 9 weeks in the season, but we knew they had the ability to at least look like they were on the upward trend this year. Um, it turns out, I mean, yeah, that Missouri win has a number 9 next to it, but I think Arkansas is a better win than Missouri at this point.
I do. I agree as well. Arkansas is not what their record is. I don't care what
Yeah,
anybody
they're
says.
yeah, they're a good team, man. I mean, they've had some things not go their way this year with the mystery of how they lost to Oklahoma State, but Mississippi State, I mean, they are what they are. They're full rebuild. LSU is a good team, but they're not a great team. South Carolina's defense could really cause some problems for A&M. And
I agree.
that's where I'm holding my judgment for A&M because I'm not going to sit here and say, well, you know, SEC title. I want to see how they play against South Carolina. I want to see how they look. I want to see how they handle a team that can put pressure on them like that because Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart are just not fun to play against. They're not going to be fun to play against. And with them wanting to run this kind of quarterback option offense with Marcel Reed, I'm going to be interested to see what their game plan is to attack South Carolina's defense. So I'm holding off. That Texas game at the end of the year looks way more interesting, especially after the way Texas has started to play. They have kind of didn't look great against Vandy. They struggle to run the ball, and I don't think A&M is a team you want to play when you're struggling to run the ball because it's what happened to LSU. I mean, last night, man, they made Garrett Nussmeier. They made LSU one dimensional.
Yep.
And Garrett come out slinging it in the first half. He did. He looked great. Everybody was like, Garrett's going to play his way into a first round. He's play his way into quarterback one. And then Texas A&M, they made some adjustments and they took away the run game, man. I mean, Brian Kelly said it in his post game. You can't run the ball for 35 yards and
It just can't
expect to have
happen in
success.
this conference. Not in this
No,
conference.
no. You can't be and I know people were throwing Garrett under the bus for all the interceptions, but at some point it's like he has to drop back and throw it 50 times. I mean, 25 for 50. You need to take pressure off of Nussmeier. You need to take pressure off Garrett. I mean, he's good. He's got potential. The skill set looks like it's there. The intangibles look like they're there. He's still new. He's still a first year starter. You got to help him out in the run game, man. And when Texas A&M pretty much just figured out, oh yeah, they can't run the ball. Why play the run? They don't have to.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
So I don't know, man. It's Texas A&M looks really good. I'm very curious to see how they handle South Carolina because
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No. I was gonna say they got a date with Auburn, and I'm telling you, bro, it's in Auburn. Auburn could easily be a 6-win team right now if they just understood how to close out football games. They
If they
should have
just
beat
didn't turn the
Oklahoma.
ball over,
Should have beat Oklahoma. Should have beat Cal. Should have beat Missouri. Gave Georgia
yeah.
all they could handle until depth showed. I mean, Arkansas was theirs. Like Hugh Freeze loves these moments. He's like, you know what? If my guys ain't gonna make it, nobody's gonna make it. And you know they're gonna want to play in a bowl game. They got Vanderbilt coming up. They got
Mm,
Texas A&M and at Alabama. These guys want
mm.
to play in a bowl game. That's on the line.
I mean, they want to. Yeah, they want to, but brother, you're a little more bullish on Auburn than I am. Levi, what's up, man? Appreciate you joining the show. You're a little more bullish on Auburn than I am, man. I'm worried about Auburn quitting, especially if they lose to Vandy this week. I
Yeah,
mean, we're talking
this
like,
weekend is everything we need to know, bro. 100%.
yeah, if they lose to Vandy this week, which Hugh Freeze is 0-2 versus Diego Pavia, so just
Mm,
gonna throw that out there.
that's
Anybody
a
can
heck
take
of a
that and run with
shot.
it if they want to. So Diego Pavia has kind of owned Hugh Freeze. He had some comments in a presser, said he was tired of seeing this quarterback. He basically runs the triple option is what he said or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I'm like, brother, don't give Diego Pavia any more motivation than he needs to come in there and just beat you again. Because
He's so
he did
good,
it
bro.
last year. He did it last year with New Mexico State. What's to say he can't do it now with a better head coach and a better team?
Vanderbilt better enjoy him. I'll put it to you like
Oh,
that.
dude, they're getting everything out of him they can. 100%.
Well,
You
he's not gonna be
know,
there. He's not gonna be there next year.
you think so?
Yeah,
Is he
and
out of eligibility?
is he? I,
I don't.
if the,
I don't know if he is or not.
let's see.
I don't know if Diego Pavia is out of eligibility because my thing is like he's one of those quarterbacks that, yeah, he's a senior, so I think he's out of eligibility.
Oh, so he's gone
Um,
regardless. Okay, that
well,
terrifies me.
no, he might be now. ESPN doesn't say as far as class. He might be a redshirt senior because he only played in 22, 23, and 24. So he could come back next year, I think. Um, but if he's one of those quarterbacks to me, man, that like, yeah, he's made a name for himself in NIL, but I don't think he's going to command the kind of attention that other transfer quarterbacks are going to command
Yeah,
because he kind of feels like a system guy to me.
yeah,
Like he works really well in Vanderbilt's system, doing what Vanderbilt wants to do with him. He doesn't really seem like a guy who's going to command attention from like an Oregon or an Ohio State or because they're not going to want to run that like spread option system that they're running with Diego. So I could see him coming back to Vandy. Um, but that's if he does in fact have another year of eligibility, which I think he does.
he is a bit
So,
hobbled. He was hurt
mhm.
in the Texas game, but
Oh, is he really? Okay, that's
should be
interesting.
he should be back. Pavia, I
Okay.
mean, he came back from the tent, but he was wearing a brace on his left leg, so that's going to
Hmm.
be interesting to see. I think he has one more year of eligibility
Okay.
left. I think so. We'll get that confirmed, but
Yeah. I mean,
um,
even if he doesn't, dude, Nate Johnson looks like he can run the system. I mean, that was a 4-star quarterback coming out of high school. Went to Utah for a year and transferred to Vandy. He's only like a sophomore.
yeah,
It looks like he can run the offense. So
this isn't our same Vanderbilt, and
yeah,
so we'll see on that. I know, you know, speaking of quarterbacks that I kind of don't believe in. All right, I'm talking to the non-believers. I'm talking to the haters. There were some comments on our TikTok. Chase, I want you to make this a clip, brother. If you hear me, there's some comments, man. I just want to just put this out there, y'all. My first team playing football ever, I was a member of the Oregon Ducks. I was 4 years old, double nickel, 55. I was out there cracking heads and running around for butterflies and scoring touchdowns. All right. I have no disrespect against Dan Lanning and or the Oregon Duck program at all. I'm just saying there is a reason that Dylan Gabriel has been at multiple programs, and y'all are gonna find out in the next month. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. It is what it is. I'm not a hater. Do I think Tennessee could beat Oregon? I think it'd be a ball game. I'm not saying we would just outright win, but to say Oregon is just the end all be all definitive number one team in the country, I think if Oregon played any top three SEC team, they would lose. That's just me, though. That's just me.
I'm just gonna let that sit for a second. I
Like,
respect.
I respect Oregon. Like Oregon, it's time. It is time. There has been so much invested into the Oregon Duck program. for years. It is time to get over the hump. It absolutely is. I'm just
D-
saying it's a weak man. The Big Ten's so weak, bro.
Malcolm,
Talk
my
to me.
my dude.
Talk to me.
Listen, I love you,
I love
but
you.
Oregon is legit, dude. They are legit this year, man. That defense with Uyangalele and Jordan Birch and Jabari Muhammad, that defense is legit, man. And Dylan Gabriel's playing some of the best ball I've seen him play. Now, it does help having Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart. It does help having those kind of weapons. But man, he's playing some of the best ball I've ever seen him play. And yeah, I still think there's a chance that he could have one of his turnover games, but
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems like the way that Oregon, not Oregon, the way that Dylan Gabriel would lose last year when he was at Oklahoma, like when they lost to Kansas, and they beat Texas and then lose to Kansas, and it's like, what happened? It feels like the way that Dan Lanning is grooming that program and the way that he's setting up that program for success. They're gonna they're not gonna take games lightly. They're not gonna take games off.
yeah.
And I think watching the way that they played Illinois, um, really, I feel like I could double down on that. They opened as a 14 and a half point favorite against Michigan this coming weekend. That game's in the big house. I think Oregon's going to roll again, man. I think
I
they're going to
do
roll
too.
their way. I think they're going to roll their way to 12-0. I don't see anybody giving them really any contest until the Big Ten title game against potentially Ohio State, Indiana, or Penn State. I just I respect your caution, I guess, your cautiousness. I'm going to hold off on Oregon, but man, I as someone who as a fan of a team that had Dan Lanning as a coordinator,
Yeah,
um, and when the rumors came out that he was getting hired at Oregon, I was like, no, please don't stay. We'll pay you whatever. Uh, Dude, he's going to build that program for sustained success. And he wants to be there. I think this past offseason with the Bama job opening up,
it was wide open for him to take.
yeah, yeah. I don't think. I mean, I think Lanning's committed. He's committed to Oregon. He's committed to see what that program can be. He knows what that program can be. They've got investment. They've got Nike. They've got speed. They're the one team out west that feels like they're actually putting an emphasis on recruiting the lines. I'm looking at you, USC. So
Absolutely.
they're building these teams for success. They're building these teams the way that national championship contenders have been built, and it's front to back, and it's with a mentality and a mindset that's just nameless, faceless opponents. We're going to come out and we are going to play Oregon football. We're not going to play up or down. I know they had the Boise State game this year, but it felt like they were kind of getting the line shuffled around, and now they've got their O line set, and they just they look good, man.
Yeah.
They look good, and I'm a believer in the Oregon Ducks, dude.
No, I am
I
too. They're gonna make the college football playoff, even with the loss, right? In the
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the
If
big
they have
time
one
game.
loss,
They're gonna make it. I just
yeah.
we will see. I saw the TikTok comments and ladies and gentlemen, we're not getting another bald black guy. I'm here to stay.
No, man,
You know,
we can't be coming for our boy
you
like
can't be
that, man.
coming
Like,
for the if you come for the king, you better not miss. I'm talking to you, Joel. I see you in the comments, brother. Yes, sir.
oh
Nah,
my gosh.
seriously. Having good fun with the Oregon Duck faithful, man. I think that Dan Lanning's he's a great mind. And
Hmm.
I hope I'm wrong. I think Oregon deserves to be center stage in the college football playoff. And I'm excited to see what happens. And the rest of the Big Ten, I mean, yeah, I look at this as a four-team race. You have
Hmm.
Indiana, who is squarely in the conversation. right?
100%.
You have Penn State, which I'm telling you, James Franklin, they they're gonna do it. I don't. It's weird. It's like if not now, when? Because James
Mhm.
Franklin, you have everything that you've ever wanted in front of you. You're undefeated. This is the time. And then to me, you still have pound for pound the best roster in college football, Ohio State. Pound for pound, they are still impeccable, and I don't think they played their best football game yet.
They didn't, and yeah, I'm with you. Their best football game is still ahead of them. Ohio State is, but if I'm an Ohio State fan, I don't I don't feel good about Saturday. I don't feel good about that being a like that doesn't feel like a good gritty. We gutted it out against Nebraska. That feels like a hey, we were very much in contending to lose this game. And
Yeah,
specifically where it scares me is coming into the season, we thought if Ohio State can hang their hat on anything, knowing what we know about Will Howard, seeing what we've seen from Will Howard in his time at Kansas State, if Ohio State can hang their hat on anything, it's going to be that run game. Well, that's two big games now against Oregon and against Nebraska, where 20 carries, 10 from Judkins, 10 from Travion Henderson for 25 and 29 respectively. That's not going to get it done, man.
no,
That's not going to get it done against Oregon the second time. That's not going to get it done against Georgia. That's not going to get it done against Texas. That's not even going to get it done against Indiana. And I mean, I I don't want to call a shot because we're going to break the game down whenever they do play. But if Ohio State rolls out the product that they rolled out Saturday against the way Indiana's been just sledgehammering teams, Sig might be smoking that Ohio State pack at the end of the day. That's
man.
all I'm saying, man. I'm a little worried, man. Like, uh, Will Howard's 16 attempts, 221 yards. Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns, but if Nebraska had any kind of weapons, or if Raiola was just maybe a year two starter, I think we're talking about Nebraska beating Ohio State last weekend. And that to me is terrifying, especially with who you're playing coming up this Saturday at home. If Nebraska can do that to you, Penn State can do that to you. So
Pretty
I don't know.
convincingly. Pretty I mean, when I
Yeah,
tell you though, bro, like, I watched the Indiana and Nebraska game, and Indiana made them look like they weren't really in the same conference. Made them look like they were FCS level at some points when they were rather running the football or defensively, just the chaos that was created from Indiana. Nebraska took it to 60 minutes with Ohio State.
yeah.
I'm here to say if Ohio State loses another game, I don't know if they're a college football playoff team. And that's crazy with the amount of this talent on this roster. That
If
that's
they,
that's absurd, bro.
I mean, if they, it depends on it. To me, I guess it depends on who they lose to. Like if they, I don't know, man. If
They
you
lose
beat
to
Penn State,
Indiana.
if you lose, like I could almost understand you losing to Penn State, but if you lose to, like, say you lose to Penn State, or say you beat Penn State, lose to Indiana, you lose to Indiana at home.
Yeah.
That's a home loss to, and I know it's a hot Indiana team, but you're Ohio State, man. You are pound for pound the best roster in college football. Like
And it's bought. That's the
I'm
thing. It's
I'm
bought.
gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off on damning Ohio State because we got a big game coming up this week. If I'm an Ohio State fan, I'm not totally uncomfortable, but I'm not feeling as good as I was preseason.
No, not at
So
all. Right? Not
I'm
at all.
somewhere, and I know it's easy to say that. Obviously you're not feeling as good preseason because we lost to Oregon, but looking at the way you lost that game to Oregon, you were very much in that game. You had the potential to win that game. Then to come out the way you did against Nebraska, who's in year two with Matt Rule, who's starting a freshman quarterback. I know he's a 5-star. Dylan's going to be great. Like, Matt Rule wasn't hired to beat Ohio State in year 2, and he almost did it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I'm very eager to watch Ohio State Penn State, and we'll get into that game on Thursday. I'm just little concern meter, little alarm in the back of the head. Ohio State, what are you doing?
It's
What you guys
it's
what you
gonna be
guys
something.
doing?
It's gonna be something. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So, but I'm glad you brought up one team that Ohio State played. Let's touch on the Hoosiers briefly, man. Taven Jackson went out there. He just was serviceable. He didn't
Yeah.
he didn't need to go out there and ball. Justice Ellison, 29 carries, 123 yards. Hoosiers did it on the ground, man. It looks like this looks like a team that is dangerous because they can win in multiple ways. They can blow you out like they did Nebraska, or they can win what the box score would say was a little bit of a slugfest against Washington, but ground game looked good. The Hoosiers are dangerous, man, and I mean it's nothing nobody doesn't know already. 8-0 on their way to probably what 9-0. Who do they play? They play Michigan State this weekend, then Michigan, then Ohio State. I'm be very interested to see. This is a big stretch. This is by far the toughest stretch that Indiana is going to have, playing Michigan State, Michigan, and Ohio State all back to back to back. Back to back, and then a bye week before they play Ohio State. Um,
Oh, Indiana's on a bye before they get
on a
Ohio State.
bye.
Yeah, it
Yep.
might be curtains, bro.
Dude, I mean,
It might be a wrap.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll get into that game. We'll get into that game later on in the month.
Oh yes, we will.
But I just wanted to touch on the Hoosiers a little bit before we move on. Before we move on,
We touched on
so
Indiana. We touched on Oregon and A and
touched on
M.
yep,
There
yep.
was one more game.
What was our
Um,
last game? Oh, I'm forgetting what our last game was.
Me too. Was it Bama?
Oh, was it Bama? I think it was. Yeah, it was Bama. It was Bama. Dude, the I mean, listen, I I'll give my one take about this game.
Sure.
Um, Eli Drinkowitz, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? Chirping at a Bama player, saying, and I believe it was the quote that I saw was he either said, "If I had your quarterback or if I had my quarterback." I wasn't able to fully read his lips and understand, but if you're chirping at a Bama player saying, "If I had your quarterback, this would be a different story." What are we doing, man? You're a head coach. You're not out here for sound bites. You're out here to win football games. Like, yeah, people have lost. Indiana just lost their starting quarterback playing with a backup quarterback, and they body bagged Washington. Like, I know you're playing Bama, and Washington and Bama are not in the same realm by any means, but that's just not a good look for me, man. That's not something I'd want to see my head coach doing. I don't don't chirp at players. You're a grown man.
Missouri is going to lose 2 out of their next 4 games. They've got Oklahoma, South Carolina, at Mississippi State, and Arkansas to end the season. I've told you how I feel about Eli Drinkowitz.
Yeah,
I he has overachieved greatly, and I'm never going to discount that. But that premature success, specifically last year with the bowl victory against Ohio State, like it's not it's not real. It's just not. Like you could tell there's fool's gold. Luther Burden, I mean, he's gonna be out this year. We'll see, man. That's it. I try to stay objective as I can, but I'm
yeah,
not too big on Missouri just for the fact that I don't really like Eli Jankowicz like that as a coach, man. I'm just not a fan. Like I have nothing
I
nice to
get it.
say.
I get it. I get it. And it's the age old saying, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't anything at all. But
Yeah, like
you're out
I'm
here.
trying to be nice and partial, but I can't because he's a dork, bro.
He's chirping at players, man. Like,
Yeah,
come on. Like, what? It's just a bad look. That's
I'm
just
so
it's just a
happy.
bad look. Like,
I'm so happy. If Tennessee was on that schedule, we might try to run it up to 90 if our offense could get in the gear in the first half.
if Nico see the field,
Yeah, if Nico can see the field in the first half, which
yeah,
I hope he does, man. We'll see. We'll talk through that Thursday, but
yeah. But I'm with you. like just to close out on Missouri because they probably won't make. I don't think they'll be in the core four the rest of the year. They could very well lose to South Carolina and Arkansas. I think maybe they'll beat Mississippi State.
Yeah.
The Oklahoma game's a bit of a toss up. Oklahoma's just reeling right now. No OC. You went back to Jackson Arnold. Defense is great, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Missouri's going to end up losing at least half of their remaining games, if not more. So that wraps up the core four for us. Are there any other games that you got your eyes on that you want to point out that you thought were interesting?
Yeah, man. I was looking at a Heisman Trophy finalist.
Mm-hmm.
Very late night.
Mm-hmm.
My man Travis Hunter winning both offensive and defensive player of the year. Excuse me, of the week for
Mm-hmm.
for the Big 12, taking on Cincinnati. That was a great game. Um, bro, I can't say enough about Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
I can't. I
Go on.
can't.
Go on.
No, I will. I
Let me
mean,
know.
I'll just be honest. Y'all called me crazy. Y'all called me. Y'all called me
Mm-hmm.
diabolical.
Mm-hmm.
Chase, I need the jersey ready, brother. We winning 8 games. We at 6 right now. Got the potential to get 4 more.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be ready. Shador, I need you to stay upright, brother, to make this come true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, I really enjoyed the Colorado game. It was very entertaining.
Yep.
And then also it was another game that I really, really enjoyed as well. Um, gosh.
Well, while you're
Oh
looking for
yeah.
that game, there is something I did want to get out.
What's up?
Um, so early on in the season, we did our preseason predictions, and
Yep.
you brought to the table something that I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought was a little ridiculous. I thought it was a little early. I didn't think that they'd be able to get it turned around this quick, but I'm man enough to say my bad, and I'm man enough to say I was wrong. And boy, I was wrong about Colorado.
That's what I'm talking about, Jay. That's what I'm talking about. The
them
AP, like the Apple Watch. Yes,
them
sir.
them boys are playing some ball, man.
Playing some
And
ball, man.
it when you said preseason, like Big 12 title, I thought there's no way. I was like, yeah, they'll I thought they would build on their success and they would be marginally improved, but I did not see them being where they are at this point, which it feels like they are very much in the race for the Big 12 title, which means ultimately they are very much in the race for the playoffs. And I didn't think we'd be here after 9 weeks of football. I'll be honest with you. I thought Colorado would be middle of the pack Big 12. I just didn't think they had enough dudes. Like I thought Shadur would be great. I thought Travis would be great. And I thought it would be them doing everything they possibly can for them to win games. And that's just not the case. They are playing good, solid football all around, man. And I just want to get out. I just want to get that out there, Colorado. I'm sorry, I was wrong. So good on the Buffs, man. Good to see them winning. Happy for Dion and the boys. Um, I mean, you got who left? You got Texas Tech. Utah is certainly not what we thought they'd be. Kansas is definitely not what anybody thought they'd be. Oklahoma State's,
They're 0-5 in conference play, bro.
yeah, Oklahoma State's bad.
They're
So,
not good.
I mean,
So
your hardest game's at Texas Tech this week. So, or next week. Sorry, Colorado's on a bye, then they go to Texas Tech. I mean, we're talking about a team that very well could be contending for a playoff spot. They're not mathematically eliminated from the Big 12 standings, from the Big 12 title, but they need some help because they lost to Kansas State and they don't play Iowa State and they don't play BYU. So they would need some help to get into the Big 12 title. But man, they're very much in this race. So
they
good on the Buffs, man.
realistically need for Kansas State to win out or to drop a game to Cincinnati and to beat Iowa State. That would open up the door for Colorado.
So the only problem is that oh wait, no, it's the last game of the season. I was wrong. Okay, so yeah, they would need. I mean, optimistically, what you're looking at here, if you're Colorado, is more than likely like the way that BYU has been playing this season. They're I would think they're on a better track to be 12-0 than not, especially if they get through Utah after this bye week because they've got Kansas at home, they're at Arizona State, and then they've got Houston. So there's very much a very realistic possibility that BYU's 12-0. So I would, if I was a Colorado fan, I'm more than likely counting on that. And then from there, you would need Texas Tech to beat Iowa State this weekend. You have to beat Texas Tech, and then Iowa State would need to beat Kansas State. And that would give you one more win than Kansas State. You would probably win the tiebreaker versus Iowa State, and you'd face BYU in the Big 12 title. I think that's the most realistic path for BYU.
Shout
Or
out to
for
you.
Colorado, sorry.
Shout out to you putting that together. My goodness.
I'm thinking. So that's how you would need it to go. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what the Big 12's tiebreakers are. That's just too much math for me to do live on the show right here now with terms of like common conference opponents and win losses and things like that. So I think that's your goal is to Iowa State to lose to Texas Tech, to beat Kansas State. You obviously have to win out if you're Colorado. Like that's bare minimum. You have to win out. But the Buffs, man, they're alive in the Big 12 race, and that is not something I thought we'd be saying. So
Utah gets their shot 3 times to knock people out. So you got a home game
yep,
versus BYU.
yep,
You're in Boulder, and then you're taking on Iowa State at home,
yep.
and then going on a trip to the Gus Bus. So very interesting. After a 4-0 start, they slid 4 straight. So we'll see, man. I guess Cam Rising really is that good. He might not need to go to Enterprise after all.
I mean, I think Cam's done for the season. I think they're rolling with
Uh,
Isaac Wilson the rest of the season. Yeah, Utah's rolling with Isaac Wilson. So it's very realistic. Like Colorado could beat Utah because they are just not the team we thought they would be. With Cam Rising out. So and who knows? Cam Rising might not actually exist. He might be a figment of our imagination. That might just be some dude they roll out there in a jersey every year, and they're like, "Yeah, this is Cam Rising." Cam Rising's really been graduated for like 4 years.
yeah,
We're just keeping this up because make people prepare for a quarterback that's not actually on the roster. I don't know, man.
man.
I'm just goofing.
I'm so ready for Thursday's show.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's gonna
it's gonna
be
be a good
quite a
one though.
bit. It's gonna force us, I think, to make some big decisions with our core four. I'm excited to see what you cook up because there's
There's a
some
lot of good games this weekend, man.
yeah.
Your boy might be. Oh God, I just took a look at the schedule, so we'll get into that Thursday. Thursday's gonna be good. Make sure you guys are looking out for the core four. We will give those picks this Thursday, and we'll probably also take a little bit of a peek at the rest of the landscape because there's a lot of good games that we just won't be able to put on the schedule, unfortunately. So, but back to the rest of the landscape is there anything else you saw that kind of stuck out to you? I know we had talked Colorado and did you happen to get eyes on Ole Miss, Oklahoma?
I did not. I did not. How did Jackson look?
I didn't get to see the full game, unfortunately. But this was a weird game. I think Ole Miss was a 20.5-point favorite, which seems like it's entirely too much to be playing against that Oklahoma defense. And especially because Ole Miss's offense seems like they've kind of been not bad, but like, oh, excuse me, not bad, but a little clunky. Oh, excuse me, a little clunky and a little I don't know, like they're not running as smooth. Not everything's not clicking as well for them. So I was hoping I would have got a chance to watch this game, but unfortunately, I haven't got any eyes on it. So I'm just a box score warrior at this point. Man, I do tell you one game I want to talk about.
What's up?
Um, SMU turned the ball over 6 times
Yeah.
and still managed to beat Duke.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Um,
SMU is they're relentless. They're
they're
relentless.
they're they're a good team. Dude, props to me. I know they lost, and in a losing effort, it is what it is. But props to Manny Diaz and the boys. They tied it up and they went for two. Man, they were like, we're not doing this overtime thing. We're just gonna go for the win. Unfortunately, they didn't get it. Watching the end of it, it looked like Malik Murphy could have just run the ball in.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of tough, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. Duke's a decent team. They've got Miami on deck, man.
You teed it up, and I'm gonna leave it right there. That's all I got to say. We'll talk Thursday because this week, Joseph, stay away from some stuff. I just see the lay of the land, and there's some things I simply would not touch. Favorites are not to be trusted this week, even my own, even
Mhm.
yours. I think there's going to be some fights like we have not seen in quite some time. This is going to be the most interesting week of college football to me.
Oh, dude, it is. It's nut up or shut up month, man. It's November. It's the last month of the year.
Yeah,
It's been a long football season. It's about to get even longer in these last 4 weeks. It's gonna be some good football coming down the wire here, man. I'm
absolutely, man.
pumped. I'm pumped. So, but one last anything else you want to touch on college football wise? I mean, well, I guess you gave a shout out for your Heisman performance. I'll give a shout out for mine. Ashton Genty, 33 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown in Boise State's Friday night win over UNLV. The Broncos roll on, and Ashton Genty is continuing to plant his Heisman flag. So,
Man, put Travis's trophy down. Man. You're not Travis, bro. It belongs to the coach and Travis, brother.
oh my gosh.
I'm terrible, man. No, shit. Ashton Genty is amazing. I don't want to disrespect.
Mhm.
I just know that in a couple of weeks, whenever we play what's that? Some USTA or something like that, Tennessee.
UTSA, UTSA.
UTSA, yeah, yeah. I need Dylan
Mhm.
Sims to get about 9 touchdowns on the ground. I need egregious stat pad
Okay,
to further my agenda.
I get it. I understand you're pushing this agenda. I get it. You do your thing, man. You do your thing.
No, 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 no,
Um,
no. I'm seriously. He's an amazing. Like he deserves to be in New York. I think this is the most competitive Heisman Trophy we've had in quite some time. I really do
I
think so.
agreed. And this feels like the first year the Heisman more than it seems like this is the first year in a long time that the Heisman has a chance to actually go to the best player in college football
Yeah, like we
instead of
knew it was
just the
going to Jaden
best.
Daniels last year. Like we saw it. We were like,
Yeah. Well,
"Mm."
I mean, Jaden was incredible though. Like,
Yeah,
so
Bryce.
I guess it's not fair for me to say the best player, but Jaden was incredible.
Yeah,
So, but it feels like for the first time, it's not just a quarterback race. Like I know Dylan Gabriel's, I think currently the odds-on favorite at FanDuel,
yeah,
but I don't know. There's
yeah.
some hope. I'll hold out hope that it's either Ashton Genty or Travis Hunter. I'm fine with either one of those. Just can we not give it to a quarterback this year, please?
No,
So
I'm fine with Dylan Gabriel getting the Heisman Trophy.
really,
No, my
you
fingers are crossed.
yeah, that's what I thought. I
Mm.
thought TriStar in chat. Nobody's winning the Heisman this year. I mean, unfortunately, somebody has to win it every year. So, but at least this year, we feel like we have. I feel like we have some good candidates, and I feel like the right candidates are getting attention in Ashton Genty and Travis Hunter, instead of it just being like, well, Dylan Gabriel's putting up good stats and his team's undefeated. So
I could not say it better, Jay.
good times. So one last thing, I guess, with college football before we move on. So Penn State ended up winning against Wisconsin after a pretty slow start. They were down at halftime, 10-7. Drew Aller went out of this game with a knee injury. I saw him on the sideline, still wearing his pads. I don't know anything about the injury. I don't know how extensive it is. I don't know what his status is moving into Saturday, but I just think it's something that we should watch throughout the week to see if that's going to affect Drew's ability to play against Ohio State on Saturday. So
As
just
of
a
right
little
now,
note.
he's a game time decision.
Okay.
So that
So we
changes
still got a
everything.
few. We still got a few practice days. They might just keep him that. Who knows?
Penn State has lost 7 straight to Ohio State.
Yep. They lost. What is it? Is it 14 or 15 straight to Ohio State and Michigan, something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. You got to win those games.
You said it,
Have
man.
to.
If there was ever a time,
It's right now.
do it now. Ohio State coming off of a shaky performance against Nebraska. I know Penn State won their backup quarterback. It's just Wisconsin, but you still beat Wisconsin with your backup quarterback at Wisconsin. Can James Franklin get one on the board?
Drew's only a junior as well. I didn't know that. I thought he was a
Yep.
senior.
Nope.
Man, he's been playing ball for a minute.
Well, I don't. He didn't. He didn't. He didn't play his freshman year. I think he sat behind. Was it Sean Clifford?
Yep, it sure was.
2022.
What a
Yeah, he
memory.
played. He played a little bit in 2022, but he sat
Yeah,
behind Sean Clifford.
yeah.
That's a name you hadn't heard in a minute, is it?
God, Sean Clifford. Penn
Well,
State always seems to have like random ballers, bro.
dude, they haven't had a quarterback like Trace McSorley.
Trace McSorley was the guy, bro. Trace McSorley was all that in a bag of chips, man.
Oh, dude, he was. Was it? I think was it before Trace McSorley? Was it Christian Hackenberg?
Yep.
God, man, just a run of Penn State quarterbacks. All right, we're not here to go through Penn State history.
Why can we do that?
I don't know, man. It's just a random tangent, but
Sure.
anyway, so that's something to keep your eyes on as we move into the next week of college football with Drew Aller being a game time decision because of his knee. With that, man, I'm tapped out on college football. You wanna hit the NFL a little bit before we get out of here?
Yeah, we can hit the NFL. It was a good weekend for the NFL. My Atlanta Falcons barely got the W. I want to give a
Mm-hmm.
special shout out to my man Kyle Pitts, absolutely playing like a top 5 pick. But make sure you tuck that football next time when you head into the end zone, brother. All right, Kyle Pitts. It was a tight ends day for the ages. I saw a bunch of just crazy tickets on Twitter. If you would have put $10 on Travis
Mm-hmm.
Kelce, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, Sam Laporta, and like a random
You saw the guy that put down 10 and won 185. He had all them. He had Evan Ingram.
yeah,
He had Kate Otten. He had who else scored?
some unreal stuff.
Well, but yeah, he had like 8 or 9 deep on tight end day, and of course, tight end day, man. 16 touchdowns by tight ends.
Script was there. Script
Oh,
was
dude.
there. We just didn't execute.
NFL script writers were on one. They had a good one written up for this weekend.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and it was like in our face. It was blatant. So
Yep.
it's all right. It was some really good NFL action though, man. I think the consensus, and I'll give you a couple of things.
Mhm.
Detroit to me is the best team in football. Detroit, I just when I see them, I'm like, okay, this team is complete from top to bottom. The only thing I'm concerned about is their defensive backs. They can't cover nothing back there. Like Calvin Ridley looked like Calvin Ridley of old.
Mhm.
Although he was getting at least 35 targets, but still,
Yeah.
they can't cover. So that's something to think about as we get into postseason play. Is all right? Are the Detroit Lions going to be able to properly cover elite wide receiver talent?
I'm with you. I think top to bottom they are probably the best team in the NFL right now. At least they are playing the best football. Interesting stretch coming up. They play at the Packers, and then they play back-to-back road trips to the Packers and the Texans. So we'll really find out a lot about the Lions over the next 2 weeks. I mean, I understand the concern with the defensive backs, but I feel like that would be a bigger red flag for me if it didn't feel like they could kind of score at will. I know Jared Goff didn't look great in this past game. He had 12 for 15 for 85 yards and 3 touchdowns. But I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs 127 yards and a touchdown. You're David Montgomery's throwing touchdowns to Sam Laporta. Like Ben Johnson's just having fun with it, man. He's just
Yeah,
having fun. He's just having fun calling football games,
he's
and that to
gonna be
me
a
is
great
like, yeah, that to me is scary. That you're just like, okay, well, Jared's got less than 100 yards, and we won 52-14. I know it's the Titans, man. Their offense is what it is, but that's no defense to laugh at. Um, Detroit is a machine right now, so I'm with you.
The best story right now in the National Football League that nobody is talking about, the Denver Broncos.
How about Bo Nix, man?
Bro, Bo Nix. I mean, I'm looking at these losses to the Chargers, to the Steelers, to the Seahawks. I mean, they're all really close. Now, we're about to see how good the Broncos are because you're going to be, listen to this, you're playing in the next 17 days. You're going to be playing in Baltimore against Lamar, in Arrowhead against Pat, and then you have the Falcons right after that on a kind of a
God,
short.
that's we're gonna find out about Denver.
Yeah, we're gonna find out about
Um,
Denver very quick, but to this point, they have shown to be the best story to me in the NFL. And then my MVP pick has changed officially.
oh, really? Okay. Who you got?
Josh Allen is the MVP of the National Football League, and it's done. Like right now, if it ended, bro, you take Josh Allen off the Buffalo Bills, they might not win a game. Honestly,
Okay, that's fair. I mean, he's playing really well. He still doesn't have a pick on the season, does he?
he threw one finally.
Oh, he threw one.
He
Okay,
threw
so
one finally.
yeah, 14
Uh,
touchdowns to 1 interception.
but he's been impeccable. I mean, I just think the guy he's getting everybody involved. They got smoked by Baltimore, but outside of that, you got your one loss in Houston, and they've been taking care of business, albeit against bad teams.
Yeah,
The Jets, the Titans, the Seahawks. The Seahawks are the most up and down team I've ever seen in my life.
yeah. I can't
So
figure
weird.
out. I can't figure out if the Seahawks are good or not. And I know they didn't have DK this weekend, did they?
No, no, he was hurt. He did
DK was
not
out.
play.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if they're a good team or not. Like
I don't think anybody knows. I don't even think Seattle knows if they're a good team or not.
they're just out here playing football.
It's a lot of good stuff happening right now in the NFL. A lot of good stories. I'm feeling for Miami though. The Dolphins.
Oof.
It's not happening down there in South Beach right now.
Yeah. It's I mean, you looked good. You got out to a lead early against Arizona, and then it just fell apart. Like you led for most of the game. I just I mean, at least Tua's back. That's at least something.
Question:
Answer.
the Carolina Panthers. They don't have to give up their pick again, right? Is that done with?
I don't actually know.
I don't know
You
either because I'm
I don't know
looking
if
right
they
now, and they're 1-7 right now.
Mhm.
So we're at the midway point of the season. It's just not good. I mean, we'll see, but it's yeah, man. Carolina, they might need to do something like in a hurry.
Yeah, they're what's the rest of their schedule? I mean,
When I'm looking at
Saints,
the
Giants, they they might be able to beat the Saints, maybe, especially if Derek Carr's not back. Um, Giants, Chiefs, Bucks, Eagles, Cowboys, Cardinals, Bucks, Falcons. It's rough. It's rough in Carolina, but we've
out of
known it's
that
rough in
last
Carolina.
5, I see one win, maybe. Really, that last 7, I see one win. You still got to play the Bucks twice. The Bucks are the most competitive losing team I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and the Bucks will probably have probably have Mike Evans back at that point. I know he's not done for the season. I know Chris Godwin's done for the season, but Mike Evans is just dealing with a hamstring, right? So he should be
Yeah.
back in. That's what 5 weeks before they
Mhm.
play. 5 weeks before the Bucks play the Panthers. That's tough. Man, I mean, as long as we're on the NFL, we got to talk about. I know it's been beat to death, and it's by far the most talked about thing that happened this weekend. Um, but Jaden Daniels, the legacy continues, man. Um, I know you talked about MVP, and you talked about Josh Allen, brother. I think my MVP might be Jaden Daniels.
Crazy,
Like
bro. Isn't
he's
that crazy?
playing so well, man. And I know it's kind of a gimmicky Hail Mary. And yeah, Tyreek Stevenson's been absolutely grilled on social media. He deserves to be grilled on social media 100% for acting the way that he acted at the end of the game when a Hail Mary's happening and you're just I don't know what you're doing, but I'm all in on Jaden. You know, I don't see why not. The story's just too good this year, man. He's been incredible. So, um I'm interested to see, how they end the rest of the season,
Yeah.
but it looks like Jaden. I mean, I don't see a world where he just starts playing horribly. I mean, they're coming up schedule. They play the Giants. They play the Steelers. At the Eagles is tough. Cowboys at home. Then Titans, Saints, Eagles again. Falcons at home, and then at Cowboys to finish the season. I mean, with the Cowboys are what they are, and that'll be Dan Quinn's return to Dallas.
No way he's losing that game.
No way. Especially not. No, that's no way.
Yeah.
No.
We very well may have the Washington Commanders in the playoffs year 1, which was on no one's bingo card. They went from 2nd overall pick in this past draft to now potentially being a 10 to 12 win playoff team. This is
Yeah.
unheard of, man. It's
Yeah. I
unheard of.
mean, this is. It feels like this is the turnaround everybody thought the Bears would have,
Yeah.
and instead it's Jaden Daniels, and it's just a more a testament to shout out Kirk Herbstreit. He thought he came on and said Jaden Daniels he thought was the steal of the draft, and it looks like he hit the nail on the head with that one because the Commanders have just been incredible. I mean, you're competitive with the Ravens, you crush the Panthers, you beat the Bears on what is probably the play of the year in that Hail Mary to
The
this point.
Giants are not good. You still got the Steelers, who I mean,
Yeah.
the Steelers and Eagles are gonna, provide some challenges, and then you get the Cowboys, Titans, the
Yeah.
Saints to get your bearings. And I'm sorry, the Falcons are going Falcon. That's such a Falcons loss right there. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And Dan Quinn was a former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
So he's going to want to win that game too.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how uh, Jaden handles TJ Watt because up to this point he hasn't. I mean, he's seen Miles Garrett, but he hasn't seen something. He hasn't seen TJ yet. So I'm very interested to see how he handles TJ Watt.
I know one thing: the Atlanta Falcons cannot handle TJ Watt. I don't
No,
think many
dude.
people can handle TJ Watt.
Yeah, he's a force, man,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be interesting. Either way, I'm pumped to watch the Commanders the rest of the year. In my
Shout out
opinion,
to GT, man.
they are must. Yeah, shout out to the boy GT. The Commanders are must see TV, man. Like, and that's got to feel good because I can't remember the last time the Commanders were must see TV. So,
Not at all.
but my boy, Miggy Malcolm, Mr. Harris,
Yes,
you
sir.
got anything else? You got anything else left for the people?
Listen, man. I think we just unloaded a great, nice little hour. Got some shots up. We got plenty of energy and vibes for Thursday, a Halloween edition of Chat It Up, and I'm excited, man. I think we're gonna have a nice little, hopefully, a good Thursday night game. Let's check that out real quick. Thursday night is going to be what's that? That is Houston. Oh my god, the Jets in prime time. Enough.
Oof.
Enough. It's just
Nope.
enough, bro. It's
Nope. Jets in prime
Houston at
time
the
is
Jets. Okay. Well,
that's
I know that game might scare us, but hopefully, we'll more than likely gonna be at Mike's Hole in the Wall. So if you're in the area, definitely come rock with us. I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be a great time and looking forward to it.
me too, man. It's gonna be sick, man. We love Mike's. Um, y'all pray for me this week as I try to pick 4 games for the core four because it's gonna be tough.
No, the
It's
core
gonna be tough.
four.
It's gonna be
You're gonna
tough,
be in the
man.
kitchen right now cooking. So
I mean, like as soon as we finish the schedule, I'm gonna start looking over, or as soon as we finish the episode, I'm gonna start looking over the schedule, and I'm gonna try to start eliminating games.
yeah,
So we'll see, man.
there's some
So
doozies. I think it's gonna be hard to remain undefeated this week, man.
yeah,
We'll see. Jay, I appreciate you doing this, man. Appreciate you
yes,
hopping on.
sir, brother. Anytime, man. Appreciate you hopping on, taking the time to talk with me.
Talk a little ball.
Yes, sir. We love it, man. But shout out to y'all watching us. We appreciate y'all stopping by, choosing to spend your Monday night with us. We'll see you on Thursday, and we'll give you our picks for what we think are the 4 best games coming up this weekend in college football, and also give you a little bit of NFL preview. So stay tuned. Make sure to follow Chatted Up Sports on every platform that you are on. Share it with a friend. Share it with a family member. Grab a family member's phone. Hit subscribe. Hit the like. And we'll see you on Thursday.
Peace.